Hi guys, happy Friday. I've decided to make gnocchi today. I made a sauce this morning, so we're all ready to go. And gnocchi is a potato pasta. I'm sure you've all had it before. The most important thing about making gnocchi is that you have to choose potatoes with little water content in them. So don't pick a new potato or anything like that because it won't work. You want a baking potato or Yukon Gold potatoes. They're the best. And I don't boil my potatoes because I feel that brings in more water too. So I use baking potatoes and I bake them. And the next most important thing you need is a ricer. You can't smash them, you have to rice them. That way you can have a lot of nice airy gnocchi. So what you do is you get your potatoes, and the good thing about doing it like this is you can just scoop out the potatoes from the skins and you put them into your ricer. And there you go, and you just squish them. I don't have a recipe for this. My mom just sort of showed me what to do. So hopefully I'll find you a basic recipe that's good to follow for amounts. Okay, so now I've riced all the potatoes. Now we're going to put flour on, and this is the way my mom taught me how to measure the flour with the potatoes, because you don't want too much flour because then you'll just end up with really hard rocks instead of nice fluffy potatoes. So she said to me just to put flour on top until it all just comes down on all sides and you don't see the potatoes. So that's about it. And then you make a little well and you get an egg and you put it in the middle of the well. And also just a dash of nutmeg, not too much. That gives it a nice little taste. And this is a nice tool to have if you have one of these, just to mix it all around. So now you're just going to incorporate all this together. Until it all just comes together. It takes a tiny bit of work. So you could make gnocchi with other things, like for example, a squash. You can make them with spinach. All sorts of different varieties that you can do, and it's all really good. And my favorite way of finishing it off is with a pasta sauce, you know, as my mom would make, or you could do it with some fried brown butter with some sage leaves in. It's really good. And also a nice good thing is gorgonzola and cream, and you just put that all together, and oh my gosh, that's another delicious combination. But whatever way you make it, it's perfect, it's delicious. Yeah, so when Tony and Brian were still living at home, I was making gnocchi one night, and my mom and dad were there for dinner, and my dad's watching me make all this gnocchi, and he said to me, "My gosh, Elaine, how much are you making? You're making so much." I go, "Believe me, there's not going to be enough." And you know, my dad is the kind of guy that if we have dinner together and there's no leftovers, he goes very poor dinner, because there's no leftovers, and if there's no leftovers, that means everybody went home hungry. So in the Italian way, you always have to have lots of food. So I was surprised he said to me that I was making too much, but sure enough, there wasn't one left at the end of the day. There was none, all gone. Yeah, it's important to do the flour in between like that, otherwise they'll just stick together because they're still a little warm from the baking of the potatoes. And you don't want them all sticking together in the water, it'd be a disaster. Okay, one more piece. Okay, so we're done. You don't need to roll them. They're just as pretty, they're very beautiful, just like this. But it is kind of nice to finish them off with the paddle, just to make them look a little nicer. So I'll do that really quick. If you've never made gnocchi before, a good way to test that you've got the consistency right on the gnocchi is before you roll out everything, just roll a couple of samples to see if they'll come together. And basically just throw one into the water, and if it comes to the top, like when gnocchi are done, I already put one in a few minutes ago so it was ready to go. But as soon as it floats to the top, your gnocchi is ready. So I've done, this is one tester, so it's perfect. There you go. So like I said earlier, I don't really have a recipe, but I looked up a basic recipe and it said, like I made lots, I've got, I think probably 8 potatoes here, but it says 2 potatoes and 2 cups of flour. Way too much flour, you don't need that much. So just use it to incorporate the potatoes, otherwise you'll just get big rocks and they'll just land at the pit of your stomach and they'll be horrible. But anyway, and also don't use semolina, use all-purpose flour. And again, don't mash them, rice them. That's the most important part of this recipe. And yeah, it's all good. I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. Now we're ready to cook the gnocchi. We've got boiling water, salted water, and we're gonna throw them in. A good tip that I learned as we went is if you put the gnocchi onto parchment paper, you can just pick up the whole thing and drop the whole thing in. Otherwise, you have to do it one at a time. So you put them all in. And give them a very gentle stir. You have to be very gentle with them. They're very fragile. And basically, it won't take long at all. As soon as they pop up to the top, they're ready. So here we're ready to scoop them out. Ross is being my DJ in the back. Can you see him back there? He's out on the couch. Anyway, time to bring them out. So there you go. They're all ready to go. They're yummy. This morning I made some sauce, which looks really yummy. Yum. So you just you have to be very gentle with these guys. You're going to basically just stir it in very, very carefully. And there you have it. Just top it off with some nice Parmigiano di Reggiano, and dinner's on. Wish I could share it with you. I can't wait to dig in. Ciao, see you later. Happy Friday, stay safe. Miss you all.